The galaxy had always been a place of wonder and cooperation, ruled by the Galactic Council. This council was made up of many different species, all working together to keep peace and ensure prosperity across the stars. For hundreds of years, humans were proud members of this alliance. They contributed technology, knowledge, and resources, believing they played an important role in shaping the future of the galaxy. But over time, cracks began to form in this seemingly perfect system. Daniel Carter, a human diplomat known for his sharp mind and strong will, had grown frustrated with the Council. He felt that humanity was not being treated fairly. Despite their efforts, humans were often ignored or pushed aside when decisions were made. The other species on the Council seemed to have more power, even though humans worked just as hard, if not harder, to maintain the delicate balance of interstellar relations. Daniel wasn't alone in feeling this way. Many people on Earth shared his anger, including Rachel Monroe, his wife, and a brilliant scientist who studied ancient alien artifacts aboard Earth's largest research station. Rachel spent her days examining strange objects left behind by long-extinct civilizations. She believed these artifacts held secrets about the galaxy's past, but she also noticed something troubling. It appeared that much of the Council's stability depended on human innovations, things like advanced energy systems and communication networks. Without those contributions, the Council might struggle to function properly. Still, Rachel kept her findings quiet, knowing how explosive such information could be if it became public. Daniel, however, didn't need scientific proof to make his case. He spoke passionately at council meetings, arguing that humanity deserved equal treatment. "We are not second-class members," he declared during one heated session. "Our contributions matter, and we demand respect." His words resonated with some, but others saw him as arrogant and disruptive. Tensions rose higher each day, until finally the Council rejected a formal proposal from Earth asking for greater representation. That rejection was the breaking point. Back on Earth, debates raged about what to do next. Some argued that staying in the Council was worth the frustration because leaving would isolate humanity from the rest of the galaxy. Others agreed with Daniel, saying it was time to stand on their own. After weeks of deliberation, Daniel convinced enough leaders to take the drastic step. Humanity would leave the Galactic Council. When the announcement was made, shockwaves spread throughout the galaxy. Alien diplomats couldn't believe what they were hearing. How could humans abandon the very system that protected them? On Earth, reactions were mixed. Journalist Laura Bennett reported on the growing divide between those who supported Daniel's bold move and those who thought it was reckless. Ordinary citizens wondered what this decision meant for their lives. Would trade routes remain open? What would happen to alliances built over centuries? For Rachel, the news brought a mix of pride and worry. She admired Daniel's courage, but she knew the consequences could be severe. Her research hinted that the Council relied heavily on human technology. If humanity walked away, the entire structure of galactic governance might begin to crumble. And if that happened, no one, not humans, not aliens, would escape the fallout. As ships carrying human representatives departed from the Council's Grand Assembly Hall, a new chapter began. No one knew exactly where it would lead, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. After humanity left the Galactic Council, life changed quickly, and not for the better. The decision to withdraw had been bold, but its effects were harsh and immediate. Trade routes that once connected Earth to other planets were suddenly cut off. Ships carrying vital supplies like energy crystals, advanced medicines, and rare metals stopped arriving. Factories on Earth struggled to produce replacements because they relied on materials only found in distant star systems. Prices soared, and shortages became common. People began to feel the weight of Daniel Carter's choice. Laura Bennett, a journalist who covered political news, traveled across Earth to document how ordinary people were coping. In bustling cities, she saw long lines outside stores as families waited hours to buy basic necessities. In rural areas, farmers complained about equipment breaking down and no spare parts available to fix them. Everyone seemed anxious, unsure of what the future held. Laura interviewed a mechanic named Joe who told her, "We used to get parts shipped in from the Vega system. Now, forget it. I can't even repair half the machines I used to." While the general population dealt with daily hardships, Rachel Monroe continued her work aboard the research station. She studied ancient alien artifacts, searching for answers about the galaxy's history. But lately, her focus shifted. Something about the Council's sudden instability bothered her. As she analyzed data late into the night, she noticed patterns suggesting the Council depended heavily on human technology. Without it, their systems started failing. Communication networks between planets slowed down, and some regions reported blackouts. It was as if the entire galactic infrastructure was beginning to unravel. Rachel tried to warn others, but few listened. Most humans were too busy dealing with their own problems to think about what was happening beyond Earth's borders. Even Daniel Carter dismissed her concerns at first. He was focused on proving that humanity could thrive without the Council. "We'll find new ways," he said during a press conference. "This is our chance to stand on our own 2 feet." His confidence inspired some, but it also worried Rachel. She knew independence came at a cost, one the galaxy might not be able to afford. Not everyone agreed with Daniel's vision. Nathan Hayes, a senator known for his cautious approach, openly criticized the decision to leave the Council. He argued that isolation would weaken Earth instead of strengthening it. "We're playing a dangerous game," he said during a televised debate. "The Council kept peace for centuries. What happens when that peace collapses?" Daniel shot back, accusing Nathan of fearmongering. Their arguments grew louder and more personal, dividing the government further. Amid the chaos, strange signals began appearing in deep space. Astronomers detected unusual bursts of energy coming from uncharted regions of the galaxy. At first, no one paid much attention. Space was vast, after all, and mysterious phenomena weren't uncommon. But then the signals grew stronger and more frequent. Rachel reviewed the data and felt a chill run down her spine. These weren't random occurrences. They were deliberate. Someone, or something, was trying to send a message. Her fears deepened when reports surfaced of alien ships moving toward Earth's outer colonies. Were these ships friendly or hostile? No one knew for sure. Rachel urged Daniel and other leaders to take action, but her warnings fell on deaf ears. Too many people still believed humanity could handle whatever challenges came their way. They underestimated the dangers lurking in the shadows of space. As weeks turned into months, tensions rose both on Earth and among the stars. Humanity had taken a leap into the unknown, but the consequences of that leap were only beginning to reveal themselves. For now, people clung to hope, praying that Daniel's gamble would pay off. Yet beneath the surface, cracks were forming, not just in the galaxy, but within humanity itself. The cracks in humanity's bold decision to leave the Galactic Council grew wider with each passing day. On Earth, debates raged between those who supported Daniel Carter's vision of independence and those who thought it was a mistake. Nathan Hayes, the cautious senator, became a vocal critic, using every opportunity to challenge Daniel's leadership. During televised debates, their arguments turned heated. "You've cut us off from the rest of the galaxy," Nathan shouted one evening. "How do you plan to protect us when enemies come knocking?" Daniel fired back, his voice firm. "We don't need the Council to survive. Humanity is stronger than you think." While politicians argued, ordinary people struggled to adapt. Laura Bennett, the journalist, visited a small town where food shortages were hitting hard. She spoke to a mother named Carol, who explained how difficult it was to feed her children. "We used to trade with alien farmers for fresh produce," Carol said, holding back tears. "Now we're stuck with whatever we can grow here." Laura wrote about these stories, showing the human cost of leaving the Council. Her articles gained attention, but they didn't change the situation. Rachel Monroe, working tirelessly aboard the research station, made a discovery that sent chills down her spine. The strange signals coming from deep space weren't random. They were organized. Someone out there was watching Earth. Worse, the patterns matched those of the Krylos, a militaristic alien race known for their aggression. The Krylos had always been kept in check by the Council, but now, without that oversight, they might see an opportunity to strike. Rachel tried to share her findings with Daniel, but he dismissed her concerns. "We have bigger problems right here on Earth," he said, brushing her off. But Rachel couldn't ignore what she knew. She reached out to Sarah Parker, a young pilot stationed at Alpha Base near Earth's outer colonies. Sarah had been monitoring increased activity along the borders, including unexplained movements of alien ships. When Rachel explained her theory about the Krylos, Sarah took it seriously. "If they're planning something, we need to be ready," Sarah said. Together, they began preparing for the worst, even though neither of them had official support. Meanwhile, tensions on Earth continued to rise. Protests broke out in major cities, with some groups demanding a return to the Council and others insisting humanity stay independent. In one chaotic demonstration, rioters clashed with police, leaving streets littered with debris. Laura covered the event, capturing images of anger and frustration. People were losing faith in their leaders, unsure if anyone truly had a plan. Nathan Hayes seized the moment to push for reconciliation with the Council. He called for an emergency meeting of Earth's government, pleading with them to reconsider. "Pride won't save us if we're attacked," he warned. "Rejoining the Council isn't weakness, it's survival." Daniel refused to back down, accusing Nathan of fear and betrayal. Their feud divided the government further, leaving Earth vulnerable. As days passed, reports from the outer colonies grew more alarming. Alien ships were spotted closer to Earth's borders, and communication attempts went unanswered. Sarah and her fellow pilots prepared for conflict, knowing they might soon face overwhelming odds. Despite her fear, Sarah felt a sense of duty. "We didn't ask for this fight," she told her crew, "but we'll do what it takes to protect our home." Back on Earth, Rachel worked late into the night, studying the artifacts she believed held answers. She uncovered something surprising, a hidden frequency embedded in the objects that could disrupt alien technology. If harnessed correctly, it might give humanity an edge in battle. But time was running out. The Krylos were moving closer, and Earth wasn't ready. Humanity stood at a crossroads, torn between pride and survival. The choices made in the coming days would shape not just Earth's future, but the fate of the entire galaxy. The calm before the storm ended abruptly when the Krylos fleet struck. Without warning, alien ships descended on Earth's outer colonies, unleashing devastating attacks. The first wave hit a small mining settlement on Proxima Station, destroying buildings and scattering terrified residents. Panic spread as news of the attack reached Alpha Base, where Sarah Parker and her squadron were stationed. They scrambled to their fighters, knowing they were outnumbered but determined to defend what was left. Sarah climbed into her cockpit, her hand steady despite the fear bubbling inside her. She glanced at her fellow pilots, most of them young, like her, and gave a quick nod. "Stay sharp," she said over the comms. "We can't let them push farther." As the enemy ships approached, Sarah led the charge, weaving through laser fire with practiced skill. Her squadron followed, firing back with everything they had. Explosions lit up the dark void of space as human and alien vessels clashed in fierce combat. The Krylos were ruthless and well-armed, their ships larger and more advanced than anything Sarah had faced before. One by one, her teammates fell, their fighters consumed by flames. Grief tore at her heart, but there was no time to mourn. Sarah focused on survival, dodging blasts, and targeting weak points on the enemy vessels. For every Krylos ship she destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Still, she fought on, refusing to give up. Back on Earth, the news of the attack sent shockwaves through the population. Daniel Carter addressed the nation, his face grim but resolute. "This is not the end," he declared. "We will stand together and fight for our freedom." His words offered little comfort to those who had lost loved ones or feared losing more. Rachel Monroe watched the broadcast from the research station, her mind racing. She knew the Krylos wouldn't stop until Earth was under their control, or worse, wiped out entirely. Laura Bennett reported live from a shelter where families displaced by the conflict huddled together. She spoke to a man named Alex, whose brother had been stationed at Proxima Station. "I don't even know if he's alive," Alex said, his voice breaking. Laura shared his story, along with others like it, painting a picture of despair spreading across the planet. People wanted answers, but their leaders remained divided. Nathan Hayes criticized Daniel's handling of the crisis, accusing him of leaving Earth unprepared. "Your pride has cost us dearly," he snapped during another heated debate. Daniel shot back, blaming the Council for creating enemies like the Krylos in the first place. Despite the chaos, Rachel worked tirelessly to turn her discovery into a weapon. The hidden frequency she found in the artifacts could disrupt Krylos technology, if she could adapt it quickly enough. With help from a team of engineers, she modified several prototype weapons to emit the frequency. These devices were rushed to Alpha Base, arriving just as Sarah and her dwindling squadron prepared for another battle. When the next wave of Krylos ships appeared, Sarah armed her fighter with one of the new weapons. As the enemy closed in, she activated the device, sending out a pulse of energy. To her amazement, several Krylos ships faltered, their systems disrupted by the frequency. Seizing the moment, Sarah launched a counterattack, taking down multiple targets. Her success inspired hope, but the victory came at a high cost. Many pilots had died, and the Krylos fleet remained vast. Though the battle wasn't won, the tide began to shift. Rachel's invention gave humanity a fighting chance, proving that ingenuity could level the playing field. But the war was far from over. The Krylos showed no signs of retreat, and Earth's defenses were stretched thin. As Sarah returned to base, exhausted and grieving, she wondered how much longer they could hold out. Humanity had taken a stand, but the price of defiance was steep, and the galaxy held even greater dangers yet to come. The battle against the Krylos had shown humanity both its strength and its limits. Though Rachel Monroe's discovery of the artifact frequency gave Earth a fighting chance, everyone knew it wasn't enough to win the war alone. Sarah Parker and her squadron continued to hold the line at Alpha Base, but reinforcements were desperately needed. The Krylos fleet was vast, and their attacks grew more aggressive with each passing day. It became clear that humanity couldn't face this threat alone. Daniel Carter, once so confident in his decision to leave the Galactic Council, now faced mounting pressure. People across Earth demanded action, and even his allies began questioning whether independence was worth the cost. Nathan Hayes seized the moment to push for reconciliation with the Council. "We're stronger together," he argued during an emergency meeting. "Pride won't save us if we're wiped out." Daniel hesitated, torn between his belief in human self-reliance and the reality of their dire situation. Finally, after hours of debate, he agreed to send envoys to former council members, hoping to rebuild bridges before it was too late. Emily Dawson, a skilled negotiator, volunteered to lead the mission. She traveled to the Zorathian homeworld, a planet known for its wise leaders and advanced technology. The journey was risky. The Zorathians had been neutral since humanity left the Council, and there was no guarantee they would help. When Emily arrived, she met with Elder Tavik, a respected figure among his people. She explained Earth's predicament and pleaded for assistance. "The Krylos are a threat to all of us," she said. "If they succeed, no one will be safe." Tavik listened carefully, his expression unreadable. After a long silence, he asked about Rachel's research on the artifacts. Emily promised access to her findings in exchange for aid, knowing how valuable the information could be. The Zorathians agreed to provide limited support, sending ships and resources to bolster Earth's defenses. They also offered mediators to help negotiate peace talks with other alien races still loyal to the Council. It was a fragile alliance, but it gave humanity a lifeline. Meanwhile, Sarah and her squadron prepared for another clash with the Krylos. Armed with more weapons modified to emit the artifact frequency, they launched a daring counteroffensive. This time, they targeted the enemy flagship, hoping to cripple the Krylos command structure. The battle was intense, with lasers flashing and explosions lighting up the darkness of space. Sarah led the charge, weaving through enemy fire with precision. Her heart pounded as she locked onto the flagship and fired the frequency weapon. A pulse of energy surged outward, disabling the massive vessel's systems. The Krylos fleet faltered, giving Earth's forces a crucial advantage. Sarah and her team inflicted heavy losses, forcing the enemy into retreat. Cheers erupted among the pilots as they returned to base, but the celebration was short-lived. Many lives had been lost, including close friends of Sarah's. As she sat alone in her quarters later that night, tears streamed down her face. Victory felt hollow without those who had fought beside her. Back on Earth, Laura Bennett covered the growing Unity efforts. Grassroots movements sprang up across the globe, bringing people together to support the war effort. Volunteers worked tirelessly to build makeshift defenses, distribute supplies, and care for refugees. Even bitter political rivals like Daniel and Nathan set aside their differences, recognizing that survival required cooperation. For the first time in months, there was a glimmer of hope. Rachel continued her work, uncovering more secrets hidden within the artifacts. She discovered evidence suggesting that all intelligent life in the galaxy shared a common origin, a revelation that could change everything. But for now, her focus remained on helping humanity survive. With Zorathian reinforcements arriving and morale slowly improving, Earth began to fight back against the chaos unleashed by their departure from the Council. The road ahead was uncertain, but humanity had taken its first steps toward reclaiming its place among the stars. The victories at Alpha Base and the fragile alliance with the Zorathians gave humanity a much-needed boost, but the fight was far from over. Dangle Carter called for unity across Earth, urging people to set aside their differences and work together. He proposed a global initiative to pool all remaining resources for the war effort. Factories once used to produce consumer goods were repurposed to build weapons and defense systems. Farmers shared crops, and engineers collaborated to improve Rachel Monroe's frequency weapon. Even Nathan Hayes, who had been Daniel's fiercest critic, supported the plan, acknowledging that survival depended on cooperation. Laura Bennett traveled to different parts of the world, documenting how ordinary citizens contributed to the cause. In one town, she met a group of teenagers who had turned an old warehouse into a workshop. They spent hours building drones equipped with the artifact frequency, which could disrupt Krylos technology. "We're not soldiers," one boy told her, "but we can still help." Laura included their story in her reports, showing how grassroots efforts were making a difference. People everywhere began to feel a sense of purpose, knowing they played a role in protecting their planet. Meanwhile, Sarah Parker and her squadron continued to defend Earth's borders. With Zorathian ships now fighting alongside them, they launched coordinated attacks against the Krylos fleet. The aliens' advanced technology gave humanity an edge, allowing them to push back the enemy forces. But the battles were brutal, and losses mounted on both sides. Sarah often found herself reflecting on the cost of war. Each victory came at a price: lives lost, homes destroyed, dreams shattered. Yet she reminded herself why they fought: to protect Earth and ensure a future for those left behind. Rachel Monroe worked tirelessly in her lab, refining the frequency weapon and uncovering more secrets from the artifacts. Her latest discovery was groundbreaking. The hidden frequency didn't just disable Krylos technology. It also revealed patterns suggesting a shared origin for all intelligent life in the galaxy. This revelation hinted at deeper connections between species, ones that might have been forgotten over millennia. Rachel shared her findings with Daniel, hoping it would inspire him to think beyond immediate survival. "If we can prove we're all connected," she said, "maybe we can find a way to unite, not just humans, but everyone." Daniel saw the potential in Rachel's idea, but knew they couldn't focus on diplomacy while under attack. For now, the priority was defeating the Krylos. He tasked Emily Dawson with continuing negotiations, reaching out to other alien races still loyal to the Council. Some were hesitant, wary of getting involved in a conflict they hadn't started. But others, seeing humanity's resilience, agreed to lend support. Slowly, a coalition began to form, a patchwork alliance of species determined to stop the Krylos threat. As the war dragged on, small acts of kindness reminded everyone what they were fighting for. In a refugee camp near Alpha Base, Sarah visited children who had lost their families in the attacks. She handed out toys made from scrap metal, brought by volunteers from nearby towns. One little girl hugged her tightly, whispering, "Thank you for keeping us safe." Moments like these kept Sarah going, even when the weight of loss threatened to overwhelm her. Back on Earth, Daniel addressed the nation, speaking about hope and resilience. "This is our moment to come together," he said, "not because we're perfect, but because we care about each other. We will rebuild, stronger than ever." His words resonated with millions, reigniting a spirit of determination. Humanity had faced countless challenges since leaving the Galactic Council, but they had also shown incredible strength. Together, they were proving that independence didn't mean isolation. It meant finding new ways to connect and survive. Though the galaxy remained fractured, cracks of light began to appear. Humanity's struggles had exposed vulnerabilities, but they had also revealed untapped potential. With allies by their side and courage in their hearts, they prepared to face whatever came next. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time, it felt like they had a real chance to win. The war against the Krylos reached its peak as humanity and their newfound allies launched a massive counteroffensive. Sarah Parker led her squadron in what would be the most critical battle yet. Armed with upgraded weapons based on Rachel Monroe's frequency research, they targeted the heart of the Krylos fleet. The enemy ships were larger and more numerous than ever, but this time, humanity wasn't alone. Zorethian vessels flanked them, their advanced shields holding back waves of laser fire, while human pilots darted through the chaos, striking key targets. Sarah focused on the flagship, the same vessel she had damaged before. It loomed ahead, a monstrous shape against the stars. "Stay close," she said over the comms to her team. Her voice was calm, though her hands gripped the controls tightly. As they approached, Sarah activated the frequency weapon, sending out a pulse that disrupted the flagship's systems. The massive ship shuddered, its engines sputtering. Seizing the moment, Sarah fired again, hitting a weak point. Explosions erupted across its hull, and the once mighty flagship began to break apart. The Krylos forces wavered, their command structure crumbling without their leader. Sensing victory, the coalition pressed forward, pushing the enemy into retreat. Cheers erupted among the pilots and crews, but Sarah felt only exhaustion. She thought of the friends she had lost and the sacrifices made along the way. Victory came at a cost, one she knew Earth would carry for years to come. Back on Earth, Daniel Carter addressed the nation, his tone somber but hopeful. "Today we proved that we can stand together, not just as humans, but as part of something greater," he said. He thanked the Zorethians and other allies who had joined the fight, acknowledging that humanity couldn't have won alone. Nathan Hayes stood beside him during the broadcast, a rare show of unity between the two men. For the first time in months, people allowed themselves to feel relief. The immediate threat had passed, but everyone knew the galaxy still faced deeper problems. Rachel continued her research, uncovering more about the artifact's secrets. The patterns she found suggested that all intelligent life shared not just a common origin, but also a shared destiny. She presented her findings to Daniel and Emily Dawson, urging them to use this knowledge to rebuild trust across the galaxy. "If we can prove we're connected, maybe we can prevent another collapse," she said. Daniel agreed, seeing an opportunity to reshape the fractured council into something better. Emily traveled to various alien worlds, sharing Rachel's discoveries and advocating for a new alliance. Some species were skeptical, still wary of humanity after their abrupt departure from the council. But others saw the potential in Rachel's work and agreed to join discussions. Slowly, plans for a new coalition began to take shape, an inclusive partnership where every species, including humans, would have an equal voice. Laura Bennett covered these developments, highlighting stories of cooperation and hope. In one article, she wrote about a joint effort between human engineers and Zorathian scientists to repair damaged colonies. Together, they rebuilt homes and restored communication networks, showing how collaboration could heal wounds. People began to dream of a future where differences weren't barriers but strengths. Sarah returned to Earth after the battle, greeted as a hero, but she didn't feel like one. She visited Rachel at the research station, seeking answers. "Do you think we'll ever really fix things?" she asked. Rachel smiled softly. "We've taken the first steps," she replied. "It won't be easy, but if we keep trying, I believe we can." Humanity had learned painful lessons about pride, unity, and responsibility. They had fought hard to protect their home and earned a second chance to shape the galaxy's future. Though challenges remained, there was a fragile sense of hope, a belief that even in a fractured universe, connection and cooperation could light the way forward. The galaxy began to heal, slowly and unevenly, as humanity took the first steps toward a new beginning. Daniel Carter stood before a gathering of alien leaders on a neutral space station, proposing the creation of a new alliance. This time, he promised, it would be different. "We've learned from our mistakes," he said, his voice steady. "No species will dominate. No voice will be ignored. Together, we can build something stronger than what we lost." His words resonated with many, especially after the shared struggle against the Krylos. Rachel Monroe's research became the foundation for this new coalition. She presented her findings about the artifacts, showing how all intelligent life in the galaxy was connected by a common origin. The revelation sparked both awe and reflection among the gathered leaders. For centuries, species had viewed each other as separate, even rivals. Now they saw themselves as part of a greater whole. Rachel urged them to embrace this truth. "If we understand where we came from," she said, "maybe we can find a way to move forward, together." Emily Dawson played a key role in organizing the discussions that followed. She worked tirelessly to bridge gaps between species, smoothing over old grievances and fostering trust. It wasn't easy. Some races still harbored resentment toward humanity for leaving the Council. But Emily reminded them of the sacrifices made during the war and the potential for a brighter future if they cooperated. Slowly, agreements were reached, and plans for the new alliance took shape. Sarah Parker returned to Earth, carrying memories of friends lost and battles won. She found solace in small moments, watching children play in rebuilt neighborhoods or helping farmers restore their fields. Though scars remained, there was a sense of renewal in the air. People talked about the future with cautious optimism, imagining a world where they could look to the stars without fear. Sarah visited Rachel often, finding comfort in her friend's determination to uncover more secrets from the artifacts. Each discovery brought new possibilities, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. Laura Bennett documented these changes, writing stories that inspired hope. She interviewed a young girl named Mia, whose family had survived the Krylos attacks thanks to Zorathian aid. "They helped us when we needed it most," Maya said, smiling. "Now we help them too." Laura included such stories in her reports, showing how acts of kindness and cooperation could rebuild what had been broken. Her articles reached millions, reminding everyone of the power of unity. As the months passed, Earth transformed. Factories once used for war shifted to creating tools for exploration and trade. Scientists collaborated with alien counterparts, sharing knowledge and ideas. Even Nathan Hayes, who had opposed Daniel so fiercely, joined the effort to strengthen ties with other species. He admitted that humanity's departure from the Council had been reckless, but added, "Sometimes you need to fall apart to build something better." The new coalition held its first official meeting aboard a massive space station built through joint efforts. Representatives from dozens of species attended, each bringing their unique perspectives and strengths. Humanity's seat at the table was no longer questioned. It was earned through courage, sacrifice, and humility. Daniel watched the proceedings with quiet pride. knowing this was only the beginning. Rachel continued her work, convinced that the artifacts held more answers. She believed the shared origin of all life might hold clues to solving problems like resource shortages and interstellar conflict. For now, though, she focused on the present, celebrating the progress already made. Humanity had walked a difficult path since leaving the Galactic Council. They had faced chaos, war, and loss, but they had also rediscovered the value of connection and cooperation. As ships departed the space station, carrying delegates back to their homeworlds, there was a shared understanding. The galaxy was still fragile, but together, they could protect it. The road ahead would have challenges, but for the first time in a long while, it felt like a road worth traveling.